The payment to Franczek is recalculation of state aid.
Mike, if you could pull up page 215. About 2013, we started to work with Franczek when two business managers ago. Tim McGinnis was here with myself, and he was approached by Franczek. They had a program where they would help the school district. They help school districts recover state aid payments that were not received by the state. I'm not quite sure why there was one board member question submitted in regards to why did the district forego this program in 2010. I don't know. That was over 3 business managers ago. So Chris and I tried to do a little research. We could not find any clear answer why the district forego this program back in 2010. But what this program basically did is it helped collect lost state aid payments and state aid collection from the state, and then what we would do is we would pay a percentage to Franczek for the money recovered. And so this has provided additional form of revenue for us over the last 6 or 7 years. I'll let Kristen go into the particulars, but now that the state has moved to an EBF, the evidence-based funding model, there's really no point of continuing to do this collection. So Kristen, you want to explain a little further what this payment equates to?
Sure. So Franczek has actually stopped doing the work for us, which is why they are offering us this lump sum option. But before I get there, so every year, Franczek could file for additional state aid money. And as you know, the old formula was heavily dependent on property tax values. But the additional state aid program was capped each year at $25 million. And so as a result, while this is really no longer continuing because we're doing evidence-based funding, the state is and has been making back payments. And these payments will continue for the next 7 to 8 years. The district is entitled to approximately $1.6 million over the next 7 to 8 years. And so each year, based off of the money that we receive from the state, the agreement is that Franczek will bill us for 15% of the money that the district received. So for example, the district received this year approximately $83,000, and we were billed approximately $12,450. So that certainly is option 1. I'm suggesting the board consider option 2, which is Franczek is offering a lump sum payment and a discounted rate so that it serves 2 purposes. 1, the district doesn't continue to get invoiced every year, and also it will save the district money. So instead of paying 15% on the $100.6 million over the next 7 or 8 years, the district could pay 5% on the $1.6 million now, which is equivalent to $80,000, which is still less than the money that we received from the state this year. Franczek is offering this because they're no longer doing the work, as there's no longer a need. And also the attorney that was in charge of this retired as well. And so many schools chose this option last year when it was initially proposed. We did not. Again, I can't speak to why we did not at that time. So I would recommend choosing a lump sum payment because it saves the district $160,000 over 7 to 8 years. Neither the revenue or expenditure was budgeted for this year, so choosing the lump sum payment for this year would still give us an approximately additional $3,000 in revenue. This is a first read and doesn't need to be approved tonight. I believe that was a typo on my part, but a decision does need to be made at the next board meeting so that we can then pay this bill this fiscal year, regardless of which option the board chooses. There were some questions submitted. I am still looking into the possibility of getting an arrangement with Franczek that would get a refund on the $80,000 lump sum payment if we don't get the entire $1.6 million over the next 7 to 8 years. I don't know if that's necessarily something that they're interested in, but the attorney I'm working with had to take it back to the executive council. There was also a question submitted that Kevin touched on about a previous decision to not continue the program. I also think part of that may have been due to the fact that the housing market was tanking at that time, and so perhaps property values dropped and there was no need to do that. again, I did reach out to the attorney that I'm working with, but he did not have an answer to that either. And that was all the questions that were submitted.
I think, Tom, you had a question?
Yeah, I had an additional question. What if, I mean, I from what I gather, I think we're happy with Franczek, but what if we change course 2 years down the road? Is there a way to prorate that money back, or?
I don't think so, but this has always been like a separate agreement that we signed with Franczek, which is included in the board packet. And again, they're not doing the work for us. This is based off of work that has already been completed. It's just the state is making back payments.
So if we, in 2 years from now, if we were to change attorneys, I think if we did the lump sum payment, our bill would be separate, squared up with Franczek, and we would, the payments actually come in from the state, correct, Chris? So they don't go through Franczek. There's not a pass through, is there?
No, the $83,000 that we got from this year comes directly from the state, and it's coded differently in the way that we receive our funding, so I can tell that that's where it is coming from.
So I don't think it would be, I don't think there'd be any impact in the event if we changed, except that if we don't do the lump sum payment, we would still be receiving payments, bill invoices from Franczek further down the line.
Well, basically, we're contractually, we're in a contract with Franczek for the higher percent unless we change. This is the new contract.
Correct.
And my only question, that I had for the finance council when we first received this into Kristen was, at what pace is the state going to be making these payments, right? Because I'm anticipating the state's going to be dealing with significant deficits as well. But that being said, we've already kind of had a wash this year because we weren't counting on the 83 and the bill's 80. So any money we receive after this point would be a bonus.
Okay. Any further questions on that? Then we will, if there's, well, this is a money one, so we'll still have to vote on it separate. We couldn't do it in consent.
I would leave this one separate just in case.
We would do it in a separate.
It's a big
All right.
chunk of money.
Okay, so let's think about it and submit your questions.